It's 3 in the morning when you wake up with tears streaming down your face. Your heart pounding not with fear, but with a recognition so profound it shakes you to your very core. They were just here in your dream, weren't they? You could smell their familiar perfume, feel the texture of their old coat against your skin, and hear the exact cadence of a laugh you thought you'd forgotten forever. Whether it was your grandmother, your spouse, or that friend who left this world too soon, the presence felt more real than anything you've experienced in waking life. But now you're awake, and the rational mind rushes in with its dismissive explanations, telling you it was just a dream, just your grief playing tricks on your sleeping mind. This is what we've been taught to believe, what modern psychology insists must be true. But Carl Jung fundamentally disagreed with this reductive explanation. What if I told you that the feeling of presence you experienced wasn't a trick of the mind, but an actual visitation? What if the one you love really was there with you in that liminal space between sleeping and waking? Unlike modern psychology, which dismisses these dreams as meaningless neurological noise or wish fulfillment, Jung believed that when the dead visit our dreams, we are participating in a profound meeting between two worlds, a sacred exchange between dimensions of consciousness that our waking mind can barely comprehend. Tonight, we're going to explore the specific types of visitation dreams that Jung identified in his decades of research, learning how to tell the difference between a memory replay and a real encounter with the deceased. Most importantly, we're going to discover what the dead might be trying to tell you when they cross the threshold between worlds to visit your dreams, and why Jung believed these encounters serve both the living and the dead in ways that transform our understanding of death itself. Death is not what we think. To understand Jung's perspective on dreams of the dead, we first need to understand his radical view of the psyche itself. Jung didn't see the psyche as contained within the skull, beginning at birth and ending at death. For Jung, this wasn't just a metaphor. It was as real as the chair you are sitting on. It was a fact of experience. The psyche, for Jung, exists partially in time and space, but extends into dimensions that transcend both. Think of it like an iceberg. The part we see in daily life is just the tip. The vast majority extends into depths we can barely imagine, connecting us to realities beyond our physical senses. When someone dies, Jung observed, their physical presence ends, but their psychic reality continues. They continue to exist in what he called the collective unconscious, that vast ocean of shared human experience that transcends individual life and death. The dead don't disappear. They transform from embodied presence to psychic presence, from external reality to internal reality, from separate beings to aspects of the infinite web of consciousness. Jung experienced this himself after his father's death, after his mother's passing, and most profoundly, after the death of close friends. These weren't grief-induced hallucinations. They were encounters with autonomous presences that carried information he didn't consciously possess, bringing resolution to questions he hadn't even formed. The dead visit our dreams because dreams are where the boundaries dissolve, between conscious and unconscious, between self and other, between the living and the dead. In dreams, we operate in the psyche's native dimension, where linear time doesn't constrain us, where consciousness isn't limited to the narrow bandwidth of waking awareness. When Mother returns with a message. Maria hadn't dreamed of her mother in the 2 years since her passing. The absence felt like a second death. She'd tried everything, looking at photos before bed, visiting places they'd shared, even consulting mediums. Nothing brought the connection she desperately sought. Then one night, without warning, her mother appeared in a dream so vivid that Maria could see the individual threads in her favorite blue sweater. But this wasn't a memory. Her mother looked different, younger, but somehow more complete, as if she'd integrated parts of herself that had been fragmented in life. "The papers," her mother said, pointing to a specific drawer in the old desk. "Behind the false back. You need to see them." Maria woke at dawn, shaking with certainty. She went straight to the desk her mother had indicated. Behind what appeared to be the back panel, she found a hidden compartment containing letters her mother had written but never sent. Apologies, forgiveness, and most surprisingly, a letter to Maria herself explaining family secrets that suddenly made sense of lifelong patterns. Was it really her mother visiting from beyond? Was it Maria's unconscious mind, somehow knowing what she had never consciously discovered? Jung would say the question itself is wrong. The dream was both Maria's psyche and her mother's continued existence. It was both personal, unconscious, and objective reality. It was both healing for Maria and completion for her mother. The two types of dead: memory versus presence. Here is the litmus test Jung used to tell the difference between dreaming about the dead and encountering the dead. Through his extensive work, Jung identified a crucial distinction. There are dreams where we dream about the dead, processing our memories and emotions. And there are dreams where we encounter the dead, experiencing autonomous presences that surprise us with their reality. Test 1. Autonomy. When you dream about the dead, they appear as you remember them, saying things that align with your expectations. But when you encounter the dead, they surprise you. They've changed since death. They know things you don't. They have their own agenda. Test 2. Information dreams about the dead recycle known memories. Encounters with the dead bring new information, hidden objects, family secrets, warnings about future events. Information that proves accurate in waking life. Test 3. The numinous quality. This is the unmistakable feeling of being in the presence of something sacred, something larger than personal psychology. You wake not just emotional, but transformed, as if you've touched another dimension of reality. These genuine encounters often come with synchronicities in waking life. You dream of your father pointing to a specific book, and the next day that exact book falls off a shelf. You dream of your grandmother warning about your health, and a checkup reveals an issue caught just in time. The key marker: these dreams don't follow wish fulfillment patterns. They often challenge us, disturb us, redirect us in ways our ego would never choose. They feel more real than real because they are real. Real encounters in the only dimension that matters, the psychic dimension where consciousness continues beyond physical death. But a warning is necessary here. Not all visitors come with peace. Some come with a burden only the living can carry. Jung observed that some dead arrive agitated, urgent, still entangled in unfinished business. These aren't gentle visitations, but restless communications from souls still processing their own transformation. Death, like birth, is a process rather than an event. And some aspects of becoming whole continue beyond the physical threshold. When someone dies with significant unconscious material unintegrated, with shadows unrecognized, with crucial truths unspoken, that psychic energy doesn't simply dissipate. It seeks resolution. And sometimes, the living become the venues through which this completion occurs. The father who couldn't apologize. Robert's father had been dead for 5 years when the dreams began. His father appeared desperate, repeatedly pointing toward Robert's younger brother James, unable to speak, the words caught in his throat. The dreams increased until Robert was having them nightly, waking exhausted. In life, Robert's father had been a proud man, incapable of admitting mistakes. He'd been particularly hard on James, the sensitive son who never fit his expectations. James had refused to visit, even as his father lay dying. The dreams pushed Robert to reach out to James, who had cut off all contact. What emerged shocked him. James revealed their father had written him a letter just before dying, an apology James had burned unopened in his rage. Together, the brothers discovered their father had undergone a profound transformation as death approached. The dreams stopped only after they reconciled, performing their own ritual of forgiveness. Through their reconciliation, something in the psychic field was resolved, allowing their father's restless presence to finally rest. Jung's method for dream contact. Jung understood we don't have to wait passively for visitation dreams. Throughout history, cultures have developed practices for intentionally inviting contact with the deceased, what's called dream incubation. Jung's method can be broken down into 3 simple steps you can try tonight. Step 1. Create sacred space. Before sleep, place photos or objects connected to the deceased near your bed. These aren't superstitious talismans, but psychic attractors, focal points that orient your unconscious toward connection. Step 2. Formulate your invitation. Create a clear question or invitation, not demanding, but requesting. Write it down. Speak it aloud. If you have something to tell me, I'm listening. The key is openness, without attachment to outcome. Step 3. Practice active receptivity. Prepare to receive whatever comes, not just comfort, but potentially challenge or revelation. Keep a journal by your bed. The moment you wake, write everything down, even if it seems meaningless. The significance often reveals itself later. Jung called this active receptivity, maintaining conscious intention while releasing control. You create conditions for contact while accepting that the dead have their own timing, their own messages that might not align with what you want to hear. The warning dreams. When the dead protect. Among the most mysterious visitation dreams are those where the dead come to warn or protect. Much like the intuitive channels described by mystics like Edgar Cayce, Jung saw the dream state as a receiver for information that transcends time. Jung himself experienced such dreams. A deceased colleague warned him about a patient who would later prove dangerous. The information wasn't something Jung consciously knew. It came from outside his personal knowledge. These warning dreams suggest the dead might serve as protectors, seeing dangers we cannot perceive from our limited vantage point in linear time. The dead in these dreams display knowledge about future events or hidden circumstances the dreamer could impossibly possess. They warn about undiagnosed health issues, reveal the true nature of people who aren't what they seem, illuminate consequences the ego can't foresee. From a materialist perspective, these are impossible. From Jung's perspective, they're evidence that consciousness operates in dimensions beyond our current understanding. Dimensions where the dead continue to watch over and guide the living. The collective dead. When strangers visit. Not all dead who visit our dreams are people we knew. Jung documented numerous cases where people dreamed of deceased individuals they'd never met. Historical figures, unknown people who later proved real, collective presences representing entire groups of the dead. A woman struggling with her calling as a healer dreams of ancient medicine women she's never heard of, but who prove to be historical figures. A man facing moral crisis dreams of philosophers who offer specific guidance. A child dreams of grandparents who died before their birth, accurately describing people and places they've never seen. Jung saw these dreams as evidence that the collective unconscious contains not just archetypal patterns, but actual psychic presences. The continued existence of all who have lived, available when we need their specific wisdom. We're not isolated individuals, but participants in an eternal community, including both living and dead. The grandmother who kept growing. Anna's grandmother had been the family matriarch, strong, controlling, never showing weakness. She died as she lived, refusing help even as her body failed. Anna's early dreams reflected this pattern. Her grandmother appeared rigid, giving orders, maintaining control. But over years, something shifted. Her grandmother began appearing softer, more vulnerable. In one dream, she appeared as a young girl, showing Anna the trauma that created her need for control. In another, she wept, something Anna had never seen in life. The most remarkable dream came 5 years after her death. Her grandmother appeared as something entirely new, a presence containing all her ages simultaneously, radiating wholeness she'd never achieved in life. I couldn't become whole while carrying the burden of being strong for everyone, her grandmother communicated. Death freed me from the role, but I needed your dreams, your consciousness, to help me integrate what I couldn't face in life. Was this Anna's psyche creating healing narrative? Or was her grandmother's consciousness actually evolving through their dream encounters? Jung would say both are true. The transformation was real in the only dimension that matters, the psychic dimension where living and dead participate in the eternal process of becoming whole. What these dreams teach us. The most profound gift of dreams of the dead isn't comfort or proof of afterlife. It's a fundamental transformation in how we understand existence itself. When we grasp Jung's perspective, we see that the boundary between life and death is far more permeable than imagined. Relationships don't end with death, but transform, continuing to evolve and serve wholeness. If psychological and spiritual work continues beyond death, then every moment of consciousness becomes precious, not just for this life, but for whatever continues beyond. Jung's work revealed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, doesn't end with death, but continues in ways we can barely fathom. The dreams are glimpses into this ongoing process, windows into dimensions where consciousness continues its eternal work of integration and evolution. Living with one foot in both worlds. Those who have experienced profound dreams of the dead are forever changed. You can't encounter the reality of continued connection without fundamentally altering your relationship to both life and death. You begin living with awareness that the boundary between worlds is more doorway than wall. This doesn't mean becoming obsessed with death. It means living more fully, knowing every moment contributes to something transcending temporal existence. It means loving more deeply, knowing love continues beyond physical presence. It means healing more completely, knowing our healing serves the entire web of relationships extending through and beyond time. You are the bridge. As we complete this journey through Jung's understanding, we arrive at a profound recognition. You are not just receiving these dreams. You are the bridge through which they occur. Your consciousness, your openness, Your willingness to engage with mystery makes you a conduit between worlds. When the dead come to your dreams tonight, and they will come, whether remembered or forgotten, know that something sacred is occurring. You are participating in mysteries that transcend current understanding. You are serving not just your own healing, but the healing of the entire psychic field connecting all beings across all time. Trust the encounters, even when they disturb. Trust the messages, even when they seem impossible. The dead know things the living have forgotten. They see from perspectives we can't access while embodied. They offer gifts that can only come from beyond the veil. Jung's perspective isn't just psychological theory. It's lived recognition that consciousness transcends death, that relationships continue beyond physical existence, that the individuation process extends into dimensions we're only beginning to glimpse. The dead are not gone. They have simply moved to a different room in the vast house of consciousness. And in dreams, the doors between rooms open, allowing us to visit, to heal, to continue relationships that death transformed but could never truly end. When you wake tomorrow from a dream of the dead, don't dismiss it as just a dream. It might be the most real experience you have all day. A glimpse into dimensions where love never dies, where healing continues forever, and where the dead and living dance together in the eternal choreography of consciousness becoming whole. If you have ever had a dream where a loved one felt unmistakably real, share your story in the comments below. Let's build an archive of these visits. Your experience might be exactly what someone needs to hear to understand their own encounter with the other side. And remember, according to Jung, when the dead visit your dreams, they're not just memories. They might actually be there,